Okay. Got that. Okay, we're ready to roll. So I want to welcome everybody that is here on the call today, and our special thanks to Amala for being willing to be on here and be vulnerable and tell your story, share your story with us. I'm going to start by reading his bio. Amala was born in Cape Town, South Africa, during the unforgettable years of apartheid. After high school and the release of Nelson Mandela, he dropped out of college to find answers to the big questions in life. He left home and traveled around South Africa under the guidance of a good friend and shaman. He was the kindest and wisest man that Amala had ever met. They lived a simple life, exploring the self and the magical universe. So during his travels, they visited ISKCON temples and met devotees in different cities and festivals. Always leaving deep impressions and desires in his heart, which only surfaced during extreme difficulties, which still happen in their simple life. During one such period in 1996, Amala made the plunge and he moved into the temple in Hillsborough, not Hillsborough, but Hillsborough Temple in Johannesburg, South Africa. He stayed in the fold of ISKCON, moved to the States to learn animal husbandry with the famed Balabhadra Prabhu in New Vrindavan. That was a big growing experience for him. Later, he got married and 4 years later divorced. Constantly moving from temple to temple, unable to call any place home, he met many devotees, but made few deep connections. After hanging up his beads and giving up the identity of a Hare Krishna devotee, he felt free to think for himself and pursue his own interests, which included other spiritual paths. He met his current wife at this time and felt like she was just the right amount of Hare Krishna devotee for him that he could handle, since she was a second generation devotee, and she was more fun, easygoing, once a year festival going Hare Krishna devotee. But that has changed, as he will tell his story. Being a free agent and by some good fortune, Amala happened to visit Odaria. Once he met Guru Maharaj, his Hindu approach to Krishna consciousness got challenged. And after a few years of festival going and home visits from Guru Maharaj, he became attracted by his affection and wisdom and understanding of the Gaudiya Vaishnava path. By his influence and grace on Janmashtami of 2013, Amala willingly entered the sacrificial fire, yet again to make another commitment, something he was certain he would never do again in this lifetime. And he has had the good fortune of experiencing the magic of following Guru Maharaj's instructions as his life got transformed again in a big way. Today, he is still holding on to his care and direction, Guru Maharaj's care and direction, and he feels his love through our sanga and friends. He now lives in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, with his wife, Atula Saki, and his two sons, Atreya Rishi and Aravinda. And he's in the company of wonderful, well-wishing friends and devotees. His boys attend a devotee-run community school, which forms a larger devotee community of kind and loving families. So there you have it. That's Amala little condensed version of his many years. I don't know, you'll have to tell us, how old are you now? You look 20 with your shaved head.
25.
You're 25 now. Okay.
45.
45. Oh my goodness.
But I don't need to say any more. I think the bio kind of sums it up.
It sums it up. Now we're gonna unpack your bio.
Oh wow. Well, I first wanted to appreciate this service that you do.
Oh, thank you.
Because I really love biographies and autobiographies, and I love devotees. And the story, this is just wonderful because I get the best of everything. And
well, thank you. And thank you so much for being willing to come on, because some devotees, it's just been too much out of their comfort zone, and they just haven't been able to quite push themselves to come out and share with us. But maybe as we go along, that some of the more shy, introverted devotees will also feel inspired to tell us their stories as well. So I'm going to just start with, your early life, living in South Africa, which really difficult time in Cape Town. And, I was there 11 years ago, and I was just astounded at the level of fear that I could feel, it was just prevalent everywhere. I don't know if it was like that so much during your childhood, but were there any clues in your early life that would have given you some indication that you might not pursue just an ordinary materialistic life and you were going to take to some spiritual path? Was there anything in your life that gave you those clues?
So for me, I feel like, well, firstly, I come from a very religious background. So my parents were, my father, my earliest memories of my dad was him waking up early, reading the Bible, that type of thing. He worked hard. He was like your typical man figure. He was stoic. Just responsible. Paid. He did everything that you could depend on this man.
Nice. And
I always saw him as someone that the community leaned on. He was a mason, so he worked with rock. And so he supported his community. He always took care of the less fortunate. My mother was very helpful around the house. She was like the fun person. I'm the youngest of 8, so it was very hard.
Oh my goodness, 8 children.
8 children. We were born into poverty. And, through my father's hard work, I guess he kind of pulled themselves out of that situation. My mother just passed away a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
And,
how old was your mom?
She was 86.
Oh.
And so she just passed away, and everything was covered. Like my father had, taken care of
all of the funeral.
We could even buy flowers for the funeral. It was like all covered. So.
Wow.
So from that, he really worked really hard. I'm really proud of that. But anyway, I came from that situation, and I was really protected from the political unrest in the country. I never knew any of that until I reached high school. So I just lived in my little bubble of segregation, and I never knew any better. Like, these were the beaches we had to use, and these were the areas that we could visit. I never knew any different. I had my friends, and life was good. So I'm very grateful that I was protected from all that. So
what is your ethnic kind of combination from your parents? Because
so my grandfather, he looked more Indian, so he had like Sri Lankan. His parents, one of his, I think it was his mother, was a Sri Lankan woman,
Mm.
and the father was Scottish. So there was that. And then my mother's side, she has, we don't really know, but she has like Bushman in there, and she has English in there.
Mm.
That is that mix, you know. So
Yeah.
I have a little bit of
Yeah.
everything.
So what do you answer when it asks on a, some kind of a form, race or,
Other.
other? Okay.
So to answer your question, I really didn't feel like I had. I just didn't feel like I had any idea of what I was going to be, and what this. It was so intimidating. The whole being grown up and trying to figure that out. I couldn't. I had no idea. Um, and I do, some of my early memories of being in church was like, I really liked this place. And there's actually a picture of me like not wanting to leave church, and like I was holding on to like the bench, my mother, and I was crying. I was like, don't get me out of here. Like, I just want to stay here. It's like peaceful. I like to be peaceful, not nines. We
Yeah.
like to be peaceful. And it was very peaceful. So also, being the youngest of 8, I feel like I had this perpetual struggle for identity, so because I had hand-me-downs, I never had my own clothes. I could never have my own style. The music I listened to was all based on my brothers and sisters' choices. And so, there's definitely a rebellious stage when I reached teenage years. Something you had mentioned in your interview with Madan, um, which really hit home for me and was relatable, was the chameleon read on others. I really felt like I developed that. I could read others, and I had that ability to just be the person they wanted me to be, but I couldn't maintain it. So like, for me, it's very hard to be around big groups of people for extended amounts of time, because I feel like I have to give and give and give, and I just want my own space. Give me my own space so I can. So I haven't figured out how to, because I always thought it was a positive. Well, the way you talked about it was like, oh, maybe I got to rethink that one.
I think that it is very positive that, you're able to read people and understand their needs, but to become, to try to, like, I think I used the word shape shift.
Yeah,
according,
shape-shift.
according to what you think other people want you to be instead. And then, totally giving up your own sense of identity. That's where that part of it is not healthy. But the first part, being able to understand and really be able to tune into people and be there as a support and a comfort. That's you have that. I know you have that in your nature. It's just that second part that we have to work on. Just
Right.
that's.
Thank you for that.
Mm.
Appreciate it. Okay, so I think we kind of covered my early childhood.
Yeah. So what was it then that ultimately was like the flute sound, Krishna's flute sound, for you to come and follow his path? That you've talked about, you were with the shaman, traveling with the shaman, and both of you. Yeah. So
Okay.
how did that happen?
Okay, so I would take it, when I was young, I had this dream. I had one dream that was like a scary dream. I came home from school, and my father was reading the newspaper, and then I was talking to him, and he pulled down the newspaper, and I saw this face, which kind of was very scary, and it was like a monster almost. And I was like, what the hell is going on? So I ran to my mother and yelling, and she looked up while she was cooking. She had the same face. And, all my siblings and the whole neighborhood, they all came out and looked at me like I was like some strange person. Like I couldn't relate to any of them. And it was the scariest thing. And later, later I had the same dream when I was a teenager, and it was like confirming something for me that I needed to look at something. Why am I different? And what, and
Wow.
so when I met this person, his name was Nigel. He was he had actually lived with Bushmen, and he was very different, but he was considered a colored like me. So we grew up in the same, uh, you know, conditions, I guess. But he had traveled. He had been with white people, and he'd been with black people, and he crossed the lines, and so that was very exciting. So to meet someone like that and have that insight. And then when Nelson Mandela left, prison, when he got released, like everything changed in the country, and I could now I could meet white people, and like interact with people of different races and ethnicity, and it was amazing. It was incredible, and I felt like I'm not going to keep going with the trajectory that I had before this all happened. Like I was going to be a civil engineer, and like whatever plans I had, I was like, oh, like this blows the top wide open now. Let's see what possibilities there are. And I left home when I was 18. I'd never done my own laundry at that point. My mother was a stay-home mom, so she'd done everything. When I left home, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Wow, I gotta brush my hair, and just it was crazy. I mean, you think an 18-year-old person knew how to do all those things, but I really didn't.
Yeah, it's like they don't teach life skills in school. Maybe they do now, but yeah, so many young people, they say they, get a college education, but don't know how to balance their checkbook,
Right,
So,
right.
yeah.
So then I left home, and we kind of just traveled. I went and stayed with him on like an intentional community. And he was like at least 10 years older than me. Like I don't even know how old he was. He seemed ageless. And he had guided me with psychotropic plants. So we had done psychedelics and stuff. But I could never relate to my friends when I was a teenager. Like I started psychedelics when I was 17 or whatever, but it was never for the same reasons as my friends. Like they all wanted to just like escape something, but I was trying to find something. Like to me it was like, oh my God, like I'm eternal. Like this is incredible. Like this is what I knew. Like I knew there's more to life than this. Like the possibilities. Like we need to figure this out. Like what's going on? And they were like, "No, let's just party, man!" Like, and I was like, "What are you guys doing?" Like, so when I met this guy, he was taking me on an inner journey, and we would fast, and we would, he would teach me like how to commune with nature, and it was a very amazing experience. But it was also very ego effacing because I was challenged every step of the way, like to not know where my next meal is coming from, to just depend on in that time we call it the Great Spirit, depend on the Great Spirit. We performed tapasya. I mean, it was a whole different life, of like I wore barefoot. I was barefoot and stinky, probably, I don't even know.
Sounds like a good title for a book, Barefoot and Stinky.
But one such story, if I can just add that in, just to give you an idea of the level of that we were dealing with. We had gone on one such journey, and he'd set me up with a fire. This was like past 1 a.m. It's like an all-night thing, just me and him. And he had gone, I don't know where he went, but I was playing like a didgeridoo, I think. It was this Aboriginal instrument, and I was sitting by the fire, and I was just going deep into meditation. And at one point, I'd seen this wolf, and like I was this Native American Indian man or young man, and I had a wolf, and that was my vision. And then the sun rose and everything, and you wouldn't believe it. When I looked to my side and I came out of the meditation, there was a German Shepherd dog sitting next to me.
Oh my
I
goodness.
wouldn't lie to you. Then I developed a relationship with this dog, and he had ticks, and I kind of washed him off, and I took care of him for a couple of days, fed him and everything. Then she left. And then a few days later, she came back, and I did the same thing, and we kind of had this little relationship going. Then the owner of the dog came to the property, and she said, I know my dog is coming to your property because he has a tag on, and I can, I know she's been coming here. So can you, I rather want you to keep the dog, because the dog has to run across the street, this busy road highway, and better if you have the dog. And so then that's how this dog came to me, and I named her Isis, and she just traveled with me. She was like my companion, and she was the most well-behaved dog I'd ever. She would walk right by my side, sit. I could go into a store, come out, she'd be right there. It's like a gift, Yeah. But this was the type of mystical things that was happening.
Yeah.
It was really incredible. But he had made sure that he had taken me to temples. He would take me to a temple, and
The dog or your shaman?
No, sorry, the shaman, my friend. He had taken me to a temple to introduce me to the concepts of eternality and things like that, And the first time he had taken me to a temple, which was really funny, we were actually high on like some marijuana or something, and we went to the temple, and I remember seeing the small murti of Srila Prabhupada, and I'm sitting in the back there, and I just couldn't figure it out. I was like, because I'd understood the concept of channeling and like accessing, beings from another, from beyond this body. And I was thinking, this is going to freak me out, because the devotee was like moving the mic as he was going to bring it to Srila Prabhupada, that small murti. And I thought, if that guy starts talking, I am out of here. I was like, I can't handle this. Thank goodness he didn't. Anyway, that was the thing. And we were vegetarians, so we would constantly bump into devotees, here and there. And my impression was always that devotees were clean. The smells were like otherworldly. It was very clean. The scent was sweet, and these people weren't. I didn't feel threatened. I felt, a sense of calm, around them, and I really liked that. Even though we did whatever we did, I always came back, and I always felt this wherever I ran into devotees. And honestly, I was attracted to the Hare Krishna woman. And because the women I ran into, they were like, rough and tough, and they, like me, the Hare Krishna women were clean, and they knew how to cook nicely, and they had nice smiles, and so anyway, Krishna had his way to.
Yeah, it's one of his many ways of prasadam, the beautiful devotees.
Right. I did want to segue into why I decided to approach bhakti in a more serious way.
Yeah,
and
please.
It had happened when I had through different reasons, I had decided to join to acquire a horse and cart. So my friends and I, we had a horse and buggy, and we were traveling around South Africa, doing busking, making music, and and doing puppetry and things like that, you know.
Wow.
And
How
and
cool.
yeah, it was really fun. And so I had a horse and a buggy and my dog. And on this one journey, I remember I was by myself with and I was crossing this bridge. And it was just a one-lane bridge. And we were going down, crossing this bridge, and there was a little stream under it. And as we were going up, this horse didn't want to walk up the hill, and it started to back down, you know. And as it was backing down, when you back up with the wagon, it would go like crooked. So, and my fear was that it would end up in the stream.
Stream. Yeah.
So I was trying to encourage it, and the dog got a little freaked out, and I was trying to encourage it. And then the horse like got all excited, and then I jumped off because I wanted to pull the horse up the hill. Yet again, I had few items, I had few belongings, and they were all that, I had my wagon, Yes, horse. The horse and the cart. I had a cart behind me. I was sitting on the cart. Then I jump off and I'm pulling the horse with the cart.
Yeah, that's great. Ask whatever questions you need to.
And as I was pulling the horse, the dog jumped off because he was freaking out, and the wagon went over the dog's paw, and she barked and yelled and cried, and that set off the horse. And this horse just took off with all my belongings, and it ran off the side of the road and ran, through this field. I can picture it. It's just like this gray, this brown field of grass, long grass, and it was just running off. And I was chasing, and I remember this feeling like my life is just going over these hills, and I'm trying to catch up. I'm like, this is all I have, I worked so hard for this, and it was little, but it's what I had, and it's my life, and I'm chasing after it, and my horse is running with my wagon, and my belongings are just falling off, a little pot, a little pan, and a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it's just going, and I'm running. And I remember at one point I fell, I fell, and I hit the ground really hard, and all the air in my stomach just went out of my stomach, my wind went out. And my very next breath was just the taste of dust, this dry dust in the road, on the path. And it went in my mouth. And that taste, and just seeing the horse down far, and it ran straight against a fence, and everything, the whole wagon got tipped over. And I was just laying there just thinking, I can't hold this all together anymore. And I thought to myself, I need a guru. I don't know why I thought that. I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I need a guru. I need the guidance here. I don't know what I'm doing.
What a powerful story. Wow. That's like a movie, that's kind of stuff that you see in a movie, really exciting adventure, and the hero, the hero, laying there in the dust, and your breath knocked out of you, swallowing dust and just surrendering. You surrendered. It was a moment of complete surrender. I can't do this anymore. This life makes no sense to me.
Right.
I need help. Wow, that's amazing.
So then my very next thing I did, I went to a city. I kind of left that thing. Some other events happened which really pushed and solidified this choice. So I went to a city, and I was supposed to go to meet some friends, and we were going to go to some festival. And when I got there, they had all left. So I'm barefoot in the city, dirty, barefoot guy in the city, nowhere to go. I'm practically homeless, and I have a dog. So I'm trying to find a place to sleep, and I camp out in the back of this. I thought it was empty property, and this guy in the middle of the night comes over there with a gun and he points it at me. Then this another strong realization was for me. And I looked at this guy and I thought, I'm a nice person. I'm a good person. Why would you think I would harm you? Like, and I was really pleading for my life. I thought this guy's going to really shoot me. He really looked like he wanted to shoot me. And this is the second time I was in this situation where someone wanted to shoot me. And in South Africa, you know, that's just
that's just par for the course, right?
Yeah. And it really dawned on me at that time. It's really strong. It's like, wow, first impressions last. This guy's looking at what I look like. I had dreadlocks, you know, and I was like, you know, dirty. I was barefoot, whatever. But I was a nice person. But he couldn't tell. And I realized, oh, I need to figure this out, you know. This is powerful right here. I need people to wish me well when they see me.
Wow.
So then some other things happened and I end up in jail for shoplifting. And so, yeah, I mean, I've done like crazy things. I shoplifted because I didn't care about the system. And I thought, well, these guys are, you know, they doing all kinds of stuff. So what? I'm just stealing a piece of cheese, you know? And I got caught and put me in jail. Long story short, I get out of jail and I walk past a Hare Krishna temple. It just happened to be a Hare Krishna temple right there. I walked right by and I made this deal in my mind. I said, God, Great Spirit, if you get me out of jail, I'm going to dedicate my life to you. I promise. Like, that's it. Like, I'm done. You know? And I got out. I got out. And I go to the temple and it happened to be a temple right there on my path. And I thought, I'm going to go in. I walk in and I tell them, what can I do here? You know, is there anything I can do? And of course, there's a lot to do there, you know. They were like, they're like, yeah, you can come and cut up vegetables, you know. So every day for the couple of weeks, you know, I was in the area. I just went and cut vegetables. And, you know, I didn't talk to anyone. I just did my service and whatever they told me, wash pots, you know. And then they invited me to come for a morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. So I thought, all right, I'll do that. So then I went for the morning Bhagavatam class, and they were talking about the 5th canto, which was like the hellish planets. So, I mean, who attracts anyone from the hellish planets? But for me, I had experienced some sort of Yamaduta hellish planet experience in one of my trips. And I went back and I had this powerful experience that I couldn't explain to anyone of the description of the hellish planet. So when I heard this description, I was like, I know that exists because I experienced that, you know, and it was such a strong feeling. My hairs were standing on end like you would like in Bob or something, I guess. But I was like, oh my God, this is true. Like, I'm not crazy. Like this is real. That book has to be real. Like, how is that possible? How did that book know what I experienced? Like, because I know I experienced that. So that was it.
Amazing.
I told the guy after that, I said, okay, very nice devotee, Keshava Prabhu from South Africa. Shout out to him, you know.
Yay, Keshava, thank you.
Yes, he was like such a kind, loving guru. He channeled guru for me, you know. He really did a good service of guiding me and just taking me from that position and cleaning me up and setting me straight, you know.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, it is so wonderful to hear these stories, because especially how I came to, you know, the point where Krishna kind of ropes us in, and how all these things just line up, you know. I mean, the horse and your buggy, disappearing, everything gone. And then you're on the street, and you're sleeping in somebody's yard and they come out with a gun and they're going to kill you. And you have like this epiphany that, yeah, people they can't, they're just seeing my external. They don't know my heart. I want to find people that understand my heart. And then you end up being hungry and stealing a piece of cheese and you end up in jail. And then you make Krishna or God, wherever, if you get me out of this, I will give my life to you. And there's the Hare Krishna temple right there. Right. Amazing. I mean, just the way everything is so orchestrated. How can, it's like for me, remembering my own journey and all those things, it's always made my faith just so strong that, yeah, Krishna's there. He's just so much there. He was there then and he's still here. And through whatever the messiness is that life is bringing. Right. So it's really, thank you. Wow. I'm telling you, it's movie material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you for helping me relive that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Powerful. Yeah. Really powerful story. Yeah. So then what happened?
So then joined the temple, and I really felt like at that time Hillsborough was going down. Like it was dirty, it was once a really booming center, but it was going down like really bad. There was people throwing trash out of the apartments, I mean, the streets it was a hellhole, but they had this little Hare Krishna temple. It was actually a building. It was like a 8-foot story building there in the kind of heart of Hillsborough. And I really felt like this, if it wasn't for the bad management or all the bad things that ISKCON was going through at that time and all whatever the politics, if it wasn't for all that, I would never have been able to access it, because I was dirty and filthy just like everything else, and I somehow it just landed in this filth, and I could like enter, and they were like welcoming, and it was beautiful. And then they raised me up. It was incredible. Like, it literally, like, from that ground floor, they gave me the service of Tulsi. Like, I don't know, they thought I was like a nature guy. So then I was like a bhakta for like 3 months or something. And they're like, we need someone to take care of Tulsi. And her greenhouse was like right on top of this 8-foot building or whatever. Wow. 8-story buildings, not 8-foot, 8-story. And so literally I was from the ground, I was like right on top. I got to like take care of Tulsi, like, and all these Tulsi plants, and made it like really, I played music for her. I had like the stars at night. I still had my little space, even though I was like in the city. I could like, be with nature. It was beautiful. Like that. Unfortunately, the temple sold like a year and a half later, or whatever. So that all ended, and I had to go to another temple. But those were like these special moments, and all these nice sadhus would come through, and they'd be very kind to me, and give me
they saw your heart. That's what you wanted, people that would see your heart.
Right. And then I was lucky to join another temple that had really good management. Like, this guy was so good. If I ever wanted a Hare Krishna experience with really good management, I experienced it. I mean, it was called the Embassy of the Spiritual World. And we had it was in Embassy Lane in Pretoria, and they had all these embassies all around it. There was like the Polish embassy, the US embassy was all down the road. And he had managed to secure a temple, a preaching center, and we called it the Embassy of the Spiritual World, Hare Krishna. And it was beautiful. There was all young guys, and we did Harinam every day, not every day, but twice a week or something. We did book distribution, and we kept the place clean. It was beautiful. I mean, the grass was cut nice. The prasadam was good. There was just like, it was immaculate, you know. But you know, all good things has a bad side. So, you know, he fell down, you know, and then the whole thing kind of crashed because he was holding it up, you know. But I mean, we had a good ride there for a while. But then that was my good Hare Krishna management experience. Then from there, it just kind of went downhill, you know, and I was really challenged. I kind of compare it to like hearing this whisper. You hear this faint whisper that, you know, so and so is doing that. You know, there's this, and I started hearing it more, like listening. What do you mean? Like, oh, and it's just listening to this gossip, and just becoming more and more real. And then all of a sudden, that's what I see. And like my whole world was like, oh, you're right. I see that problem. They got styrofoam they're using. They, you know, like I started seeing all these problems, and then I was not experiencing the joy of bhakti and the spiritual vibration. I was just like seeing problems wherever I looked, you know. And so, you know,
messiness. This is the messiness we're getting into.
The messiness, you know. And so I really didn't want to talk about that, but that's what your title is all about.
Yeah, that's I'm, you know, for someone who wants peace, yeah, let's not talk about the messiness.
But it's funny because that same theme showed up in our sanga, and I wanted to I kind of wanted to get there, but you know, just to touch on, because I think a lot of devotees, a lot of us have maybe experienced the messiness in another institution, and so it's easy to point a finger or whatever.
Right.
But I remember. Anyway, I don't know how to segue actually, because I really wanted to talk about how I came to Audarya. So I'm going to pause at that, because that's really the messiness, but it plays again, and it's the exact same thing. And it just plays in a different sangha, and we kind of know what that ISKCON experience was like. So I'm going to pause that and then come
back to that. Sure.
So I left the practice of ISKCON, of Hare Krishna. I left the bhakti path because I was kind of a little bit isolated. I had, my ex-wife was really connected with the community, and I didn't feel that welcome, you know, because really I chose to leave her, and she was a really nice person, really nice devotee, and I chose to leave her because if we just weren't with the same, it wasn't working, and so I chose to leave her, and I didn't want to cross those lines. So I gave her the community when I was isolated, and it was very hard to practice on my own. So then the only way I could live and be happy was to just not identify with it. So then I wouldn't have any shame. Then I wouldn't have any, you know, remorse and all these horrible feelings I didn't want to have. So I was like, I'm not a Hare Krishna right now. So, hey, I can do whatever I want. And that felt better. And so then I could visit the temple when I wanted, and just, you know, and that's when
you figured out how to find your peace and stay in it.
I figured out how to find my peace. There we go. So I met my wife, and she was just like perfect for me. And I met her at the temple. And
which temple was in Vrindavan?
It was a Alachua temple.
Oh, in the Alachua temple, okay.
I was at the Alachua temple. It was a Sunday feast, and I met her, and I thought, I can connect with this person. She likes being in nature, and she liked living on a farm, and you know, and permaculture. And I was like, all right, this is the person. And I got a number, but and then I called her and I'd say, hey, I'm going to the temple. You want to ride, and that's how it went. So then I gave her a ride to the temple, and hey, I'm going to dance. You want to go dance? Like, yeah, she wanted to go dance. And so we did all the fun stuff,
Mm.
and then my community became the Gurukul, the second generation devotees of ISKCON. And because I could relate to them, the most amazing thing that I found about them is that they partied, they had fun, but Krishna was always a part of their life. Like they couldn't avoid that. Like Krishna was just like, they were always vegetarian. We could talk about things and we completely understood. We had that background with it. We felt comfortable. We knew that Krishna was always there. We eternal. And we just struggling right now. And, that this is life, and we're trying to have fun just like everyone else, And so I felt comfortable in that, and it was good, It's like, and we started having kids and they were having kids. And so we had a nice community. And that time I was growing pot. I had a marijuana farm in California, and life was good. We had whatever we needed, and like I lived the community life. It was great. Then my brother-in-law told me, let's go and visit this Odaria it's Balaram Punima. Let's go to. And we thought, yeah, let's go. Like I don't even know Swami Tripurari. I'd never seen him or heard of him. I think I've heard of him, but that was it. Just like in passing, he had left ISKCON or something. So we go up to Odaria, and we get there, and it's this long winding road, and we finally get to this place. And it's just this hilltop, and it's sandy paths, like not sand, but like, dirt paths. And there's this house up there and there's cows. And I looked and I was like, wow, this is amazing. It's so peaceful again. It's serene. It's like, wow, someone's doing this right. Like, this is how you should do this. Like, I feel like I'm transported. Like I haven't even met anyone and I feel like I'm in a different place. So we go to the temple and we meet Agni Dev Prabhu, and he was there, and he kind of guides us around and shows us the place, and he says, come, let's go and see the cows, and he takes us to the cows, and there's this he looked like a Prabhupada disciple, digging up the cow dung, and we say hi, and he's over there and he smiles, and then he goes away and he comes back and he gives us some mahaprashadam, some burfis or something. And we're like, wow, that's great. And he says, come back later and we'll speak a little bit on Balaram Punima. And we go to the temple and we take prashadam with Agni Dev Prabhu, and we do a little kirtan. It was sweet. It was really nice that all the devotees, it seemed like they really wanted to be there, They were so happy. And then we go up to Swami Guru Maharaj's house, and it's the same person that was shoveling the cow dung. And I was like, wait a minute. He was that guy. And then now he's all in sannyas robes, and then he welcomed us in. Wow. And we sat down, and it was like 6 of us, and my wife was there too. It was my wife and I, and he spoke to us, and he wanted to know about us, and it was so sweet. And that was it. That was like our first connection, and then we liked it so much. We thought, hey, let's go there for Janmashtami, and then they invited us to go for Gorpanim. And then, so we just went for the festivals, because we lived in California. We kind of made our way. And then we started giving a donation, and, maybe, different things. But we could never do any service, which was a really powerful thing for me because, like I always wanted to do service there. Like and it seemed like everything was covered. Like, no, you can't. I wasn't even qualified to sweep this place. Like, they were like, no, there's a way we got to do it. And they showed me, there was a whole complicated way to sweep and to mop the floor. And I was like, wow, like, I guess I can't even do that. Like, I'm just not qualified to do that even. Like, all I have to come and take prasadam and listen to the talk, So
That's great service and giving donations. I mean, those are all big
I know, right?
services you were doing.
I know. So I thought, like, that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to be like a Hindu guy. I'm just going to come for the festival, give donation, and listen to the Swami, And then I remember one moment. I was sitting in class. I don't know which class it was, how many times I'd listened to Guru Maharaj, but it seemed like the light, like at the moment when I was actually present, completely present to what he was saying. And it was like the implications of what he was actually saying. It was my mind and my presence. I was actually there. And it seemed like, I remember distinctly like looking around at the devotees and thinking, do you guys hear this? Like, this is incredible. Like, and then I realized, like, wow, they've been here all along. Like, I just got here. Like, it was like that epiphany, like, damn, like, I just got here. Like, I've been here the whole time. I've been coming, but now I'm here. And I was like, I get you. Like, I hear you speaking to my heart. Like, this is incredible. And that aha moment, and so from then on, I was hooked, and then he had, through the grapevine, he said, I want to initiate you in Janmashtami. And I was like, initiate me? Like, I was just a Hindu like last week, like whatever, I was like, I don't know, like, I'm not qualified, like, and I remember the devotee looked at me and said, you'll never be qualified. You can't be qualified for this, because I remember in ISKCON, I had been chanting 16 rounds for like 4 or 5 years, going to the morning program religiously, man. Like, I felt like I was qualified, and they still didn't give me initiation. I was like, finally they gave me initiation. I was like, all right, I'll just take any guru that wants to initiate me, like, because, like, I need to get initiated. Like, I've been doing this for 5 years. No one will initiate me. And here, like, I've just been coming and meeting Guru Maharaj, and and now he wants to initiate me. I was like, I'm not qualified, So, but and then when he said that, I said, all right, definitely sign me up. I'm taking initiation. Wow. And he gave us first and second, and I really felt the affection. I was like, this is it. I'm going, And
that's beautiful.
So fast forward, just to get to that messiness part. Life is not as rosy as you think it is. And I thought, like, this sanga is incredible. There's no faults. Everything is perfect. I've reached the spiritual world. But the same whispering I heard in ISKCON, I heard again, It wasn't the flute sound. It was something else. And I started paying attention to the sound, and I started seeing it. I started seeing the same things I saw in ISKCON, I saw in our sangha, and I started fault finding. I started seeing it more and more, to a point where I felt uncomfortable around the association of like God brothers and God sisters, and I couldn't come. I'd made this decision to move my family from California to Saragrahi on the guidance of my guru, and on my way there, I'm having a change of heart, and I'm like, what do I do now? Like, I'm moving to be here with this community, and I don't think I want to be a part of this anymore. So that was very, very hard.
That must have been really a scary moment.
That was a very scary moment. And and so I have the ability to please others. So I somehow navigated this experience, even though within myself there was a lot of, difficulty. Um, and it got to a point where Guru Maharaj came for a festival, and I didn't know what to do because I didn't want to go. I was like, I am not going to go to this festival, And all my god brothers and god sisters are going to be there, or most of them, and they're going to expect to see me and my family. And I decided I'm not going to go. And I didn't go. But in the final day, through some arrangement, some pleading, or some affection of some I don't even remember who it was. They kind of just come for the feast, at least come for the feast. So on the last day of the festival, hey, that's something everyone likes. So I came for the feast. And I came for the feast, but I didn't go to see Guru Maharaj. I was like, he was sitting over there honoring prasadam with some of his god brothers and sisters. And I was like, I'm not going to go see him. And I took my plate, sat down on a prasadam and talking to friends. And then my son falls from the tree and smashes his head on a concrete bench. And my whole world just crumbled. I was just like, in that moment, I was like, what the hell? And I race off to hospital and deal with this whole thing. But in that moment, when that happened, I knew exactly on a subtle level what was going on. And I was like, I offended a Vaishnava.
Amazing that you were able to, make that kind of connection, that, and see it in a positive way. As I mean, some people might have thought, that's it, I'll never come back, just see, I come to the temple and my son almost gets killed. That's evidence that I need to get far away. But you saw it totally differently due to your Sukriti.
Yeah.
Krishna was.
No, he just knocked his head, and we had to go to hospital. Yeah. And then I had a change of heart. I was like, okay. And then the next year or so was me like coming back into the fold, of Guru Maharaj's affection. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, you never offended me. I'm like, and I'm like, I'm having a hard time. So that was powerful for me. And I realized that that he may not take offense, but Krishna doesn't like his devotees to be offended.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then I try to change my angle of vision again.
There you go.
That's really what it is about.
Yeah.
Saying, I got to change my angle of vision. And it only dawned on me. So this is kind of like my final piece. It really hit home, because my whole experience from leaving home was to find this perfect situation. So you have to understand, like, my first part of my life, I was in a stable family. My father was a Mason. We had a community of people who valued our family and the community and the church. My mother and my family had done so much service for this community. I was part of that family, this heritage. So then from that stability, I left home, and I had never lived in the same place longer than a year and a half. Like, I was always traveling, like always, my whole life. Even when I moved in the temple, I never stayed in the temple longer than a year. I never stayed when I was in California, we kept moving. I just couldn't live in the same place. I don't know why. Just the lease would run out, or whatever. Like the landlord wanted to sell the place, so I was forced to move. So I'm always moving. So I was always seeking for this community, this stability. And obviously, when I joined when I saw it in the temple, we really wanted simple living, community of devotees. So realized at one point, it was not very long ago, where I realized that what I was seeking was Navadvip, was Nitya Navadvip.
Mm.
That's really what I'm seeking. And Guru Maharaj had mentioned it to me. He said, you're looking for a perfect community, but you're in this world, you're never going to find that perfect community. He didn't say it to me in that many words, but that's kind of like what he was saying, like, you're looking, the perfect community is the association of devotees. That is perfect. That is the perfect community. But how it manifests, like what you're looking for, we all live off solar power, and we're all living this simple life. This romantic idea is really Nitya Navadvip. It's really that village life where we harvesting, we're living in this land. Everyone's living so simply, and life is so good. So when I realized that, I realized that I don't have the adhikar for that. I think that in this one lifetime, I'm going to create a community, and there we go, like Nitya Navadvip right here. Like I'm just going to create Navadvip right here. Like I don't have that adhikar to experience that. I'm just going to bring my baggage with me, and so is that person and that person, and it's going to ruin the whole thing. So when I realized that, like completely understood it, I realized I gave up on the idea. I was like, I can't have this, and that I'm going about this the wrong way. I need to figure it. I need to do this. I need to get the adhikar to experience this, and I will. That's what I want. I really want it, and I'm going to experience it one day.
Wow, that is so powerful. And I think that's a very common experience of coming to spiritual life and thinking, yeah, now I have, everything's going to be perfect. These people are perfect. The situation's perfect. And then it's not. And then we think, well, maybe it's not really even spiritual, and we become discouraged. So through your discouragement, so I mean, really, this is great, because I'm sure everybody that's on this call today can relate to it on some level, and I'm sure everybody who's going to listen to this call, because we've been getting a lot of viewings, that it's going to be just a very helpful. It's your gift to all of us. Is that experience you're sharing?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Wow. And yeah, so this is probably the most profound change that you've seen in yourself, is this ability to accept what is, and realize that this is perfect in its imperfection.
And then I moved to Hillsborough, and then something that I was resisting just happened to be the perfect situation for me. And now my family has a circle of friends, an intimate circle. We have a bigger community of kind, loving devotees. And my kids are happy. Wife is happy. I'm happy.
Life is good. Full circle.
There's so many difficulties right now that I'm experiencing. I don't even want to tell you all the things that I'm going through right now in my life. But I'm sitting here with a smile on my face. And because really, like,
you trust. You're trusting. You're trusting.
The life is good. Life is really good.
It is. It's just, it's so much, just like a little switch inside of us. We can choose to see the beauty in everything and how it's serving or advancing, or we can turn that switch of like, all seeing all the things that are wrong and how this is not right and these people are not doing things the way they should. And yeah, that switch is always there.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you have really switched gears and in a, yeah, just it's really wonderful.
Well, I'm gonna have to rewatch this video myself to remind myself, probably.
Well, that's great. That's another great reason to do this, is to remember, yeah, all the grace that we've gotten, and we all have gotten so much grace. And
Yeah.
it is just so easy. The mind, I think, our minds are wired to look for what's wrong rather than what's right. That's
Yeah.
just, so that is part of the journey, is being able to switch that thinking over to seeing all the good, and it's just there very plentifully.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. I want to leave just a minute or two for some questions, if anyone has any. For Cora, if you're any of the Spanish devotees, let's see. Oh, I just said, yeah, go ahead. Yes, okay. This is from Madan Gopal. I thought he was out on the beach. Well, maybe he is. Amo Sham is a mood booster for me. I love having his regular association because no matter what my attitude is, I know I'll be laughing if I'm with him. He's always jolly and his laugh is contagious. I'm blessed to have him close. and we have...
He's very kind. Everyone knows that about Mother.
Yeah, and Aditi, your wife, you are so kind by...
Oh, that's me.
No, that's you. I was
That's
thinking that was
you.
your wife saying that. Oh, you're saying that back to him. Yes, he is very kind. So yes, that's my experience of being around you, and that might be your shape shifting.
It might be. It might be. It might be.
Oh. So does anybody else have anything, a comment or a question that before we wrap up? It's just a really, really wonderful interview. These just keep getting better and better, I tell you. I just keep thinking, I don't know. I can't imagine how we could get now. I've got...
It's going to be those quiet ones, the ones that are shy, and then you scratch it, they finally come out, and you're like,
yes.
whoa.
Yes, good. We need to encourage those quiet ones to come out. Sakirati and Sham just came on with their video to say hello, and Ma Priya Devi Dasi from Mexico. And yes, that was wonderful.
So Shamananda was one of the first devotees in Odaria that I saw, and he was in Saffron, and he's stoic. I just loved. He's just like, I couldn't believe this devotee. Like, he was just like so sweet, just always smiling, very kind. I was like, yeah. I always look forward to seeing him.
Wonderful. Okay.
Well, as I'm later understood from the Sandarbhas by Sri Jiva Goswami, when I was listening to a class by Jalal Chandra Prabhu, he had said something in the terms of, the way I understood it was, there's nothing that exists but God. Like, how can anything be not God? Like, everything is like everything you see is God. So it was just my perception, it's just my perception that differentiated it. So when you ask so this is how I kind of saw, everything. And it seemed to me like Krishna he was just this little boy that really appreciated nature. He was in nature. He's a nature loving person. So I like that. I was like, that's my guy. I don't know if I answered your question.
Discarding his jewels that Mother Yashoda puts on to put the mineral dyes and flowers and fruits in his hair and his turban. Yes, yeah. He loves nature.
Yeah.
Just the gifts of nature, which are, yeah.
Whose nature is it, right, Guru Maharaj?
Exactly. Whose nature? Very nice. Any other last comment, question? And if not, we'll say goodbye and thank so much for Amal Sham for coming and sharing that beautiful story. And Akura, thank you so much for your translation. How do you do, everybody? I don't know, they can't understand my question.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I just wanted to thank everyone for your loving glance and your kindness. And I hope to continue to be in your good graces.
Yes, and so next week we have another sweet devotee from your neck of the woods, Grungi Priya. So we'll all look forward to having her. And then the following week we have Subal. So we're gonna it's definitely that area of North Carolina's turn. So we got to get some of these other devotees from other parts of the I'd love to get these Spanish speaking devotees. We have to figure out a way to do that because we'll need an interpreter. We have done Vaishnava Maharaj. We did have, then that went well. So, but we do need to start pulling some of them in as well. All right, my dear devotees, thank you so much. And we'll see everybody soon, I'm sure, for another call. And have a wonderful rest of your day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Archana-siddhi. Jai.
Hare.